So hello guys, welcome. This video is in continuation of my previous videos, bridge preparation part 1 and part 2. So in this video, other than ECDIS, we'll try to complete all other equipments for bridge preparation. Let's.
Then here is our pyrotechnics which are there. So make sure your pyrotechnics, they are not expiry date, and pictorial diagrams of the instructions. This must be there. If they are fading away, if they are faded away, then you have to ask for new and count the numbers which is required. So make sure you have proper numbers. Then one more thing about the requirement is that whatever you are having in your drawers, like if you have life jacket, immersion suit, rocket parachute, LTA, whatever you have in your drawers, anywhere on your drawers on bridge, it shall be properly marked with IMO symbols and the numbering. How many do you have inside your drawers? For example, as you can see, inside this drawers we have life jacket and the number is 3. So we have 3 life jackets. Same goes for this rocket parachute. We have rocket parachute and those are of 12 numbers. Same for immersion suit. So both of these are important. The numbers is also important and the IMO symbol is also important. So here you can see we have immersion suit. That's why we have kept number. These were the rocket parachute which are there. So and these are our life jacket which are present. So all these things you must check on your bridge. Also, there must be a spare magnetic compass present on your bridge. So as you can see, this has been a requirement that the spare magnetic compass shall be kept upside down to avoid any damage on its card. So that's why you can see our spare magnetic compass is kept upside down, because if wetting inspector is asking you where is your spare magnetic compass, he will definitely look for this, whether you have kept it upside down or it is kept in a normal position. So it shall always be kept in upside down, and make sure you don't have bubble inside this also. Check for bubble in your spare magnetic compass as well. Also on your bridge you must have a spare liquid to fill in your magnetic compass in case if you have bubbles in your magnetic compass. If you have that liquid, make sure you also have the MSDS for that liquid. Next is your emergency steering. Whichever is your emergency steering, it shall be marked properly. Either it can be Dymo tape, it is marked over here as you can see. Next thing is your bridge window wipers. The condition of bridge window wipers shall be good. They shall not be in damaged condition. All the rubber blades which are there, these rubber blades, make sure that those rubber blades are good, and if they are damaged, if you have spare, replace them, because it is also a remark that bridge window wipers were not in good condition. The blades were damaged. The next thing is your nav lights. Actually they would ask, any inspector or PSC would come, they would ask you to switch on all your lights, and they would go out on bridge wing and they will check whether your all lights are working or not. So you must check whether your all lights are okay, there is no light which is fused. Other thing is, in nav lights there is a test which is fuse test. So normally PSC won't ask for that, but a wetting inspector normally can ask you to do a fuse test for any nav lights. For example, if it tells you to do a fuse test for port side lower light, make sure first your power is switched on and you have switched to low. In here it will be marked like which fuse is for which light. For example, it says that port side low light is these fuse, so you shall take out those fuse and then you will hear an alarm. So you can see there is an alarm and the light is flickering. So that means our fuse test is okay. So this you must be able to demonstrate to the wetting inspector. Press reset, switch it off.
Then next comes the course recorder. In course recorder, just ensure that the both needles are matching the quadrant and the particular heading from the gyro. Make sure it is properly signed for the arrival port, and that's it. Now next we'll talk about the IMO publication or bridge publications which are required to be carried on board. So with respect to the publications required by the IMO, there is a circular MSc-MEPC2/circular2. You can download this circular from the Google. Now in this circular, I would just point out 2 or 3 important details which we must remember. Firstly, they have mentioned that the publications like SOLAS, MARPOL, International Loadline, Colreg or STCW, these publications are present on board just to enhance the knowledge of crew and also to help in implementation of following regulation. Hence, PSC cannot detain or put an observation if we do not have following regulation unless it is mentioned in our ship safety management manual. That means if your company does not ask you to keep this, if in your company SMS, your QHSC manual, if in your QHSC manual it is not mentioned that you must carry these publication, PSC cannot put an observation for this. You can read this circular. Secondly, in this circular there is an appendix, and in this appendix they have only listed out these 5 or 6 publications which are to be carried on board. But as you can see over here, this is not a complete list, and of course on board our ship we have much more than these publications which are mentioned over here. But you must read the last line over here, publication required by the ISM code, and in this here they have mentioned required publication are those specifically mentioned to be carried by the ship's SMS manual. Again, it comes down to your ship specific or company specific manual, that is SMS manual. In your SMS manual they must have mentioned which all publications are required. I'll attach a list of the publications which are required by my company, so for reference you can have them. Thirdly, the most important detail in this publication is this International Code of Signal and IAMSAR Volume 3. These 2 publications are to be in hard copy. Other publications can be in soft copy or electronic copy, but these 2 publications must be in hard copy. You can read this over here. They have put double asterisk mark. Here you can read, these publications for emergency use should always be available on board ship in the form of hard copy. This they have told only about these 2 copy, International Code of Signal and IAMSAR Volume 3. Also, in addition to MSc-MEPC2 Circular 2, you can definitely go and read your own ship's flag state circular. Like for example, this is a Marshall Island circular. Your ship can be of any other registered flag. You can read those circulars as well. In those circular also you might get few hints which all publications are required. So again, if you will read, this is based on the same circular itself. You can check that the Marshall Island or any other good flag state, they will always base their circulars based on IMO circular only. But here if I'll come down in this appendix, you can read that they have mentioned that these publications must be carried on registered Marshall Island flag vessels. You can read them. Hence, it's always better to read your company's SMS manual, and in your company SMS manual they must have list of publications which are to be required, and they will definitely include these publications. They'll definitely include them, and there will be much more than these publications. Now lastly, with respect to the inspector, what do they look? Normally they would definitely ask these 2 publications, International Code of Signals and IAMSAR Volume 3. They will check which is the edition which you have on board, and thereafter they would not go and check individual publication. That's not possible for them, and it's too cumbersome for them also that they will come and check each publication. So what they normally do is, this is the normal pattern, that they will come and ask the latest publication. For example, when I was second mate, during that time they were asking, okay, show us your IMDG code publication. What is the edition which you have, and show us. Because during that time IMDG code was revised. Thereafter IAMSAR Volume 3 was also revised during my time. So they would just come and ask me, okay, show us your IAMSAR Volume 3. In the same manner, at present, while I'm making this video, there is a new edition of Bridge Procedure Guide. Edition number 4 has come. So they would just come and, okay, show us your BPG Guide Edition 4, or whether you have the latest update or not. So normally they come and ask the latest publication which has been revised and which is required to be carried on board. They would not go and check individual publication.
The next thing is logbook. What all things we have to check in our logbooks. So in your deck logbook, make sure you have all of these entries with which I have written it down. Make sure whenever you are changing your course, position shall be there. In each watch, hand steering, tried out position shall be there. GPS, HDOP value, gyro error if you are taking, that thing shall be recorded. Watch keeping level if you are at anchor at sea, those things shall be there. Fireman round taken. This is normally this is definitely checked by the vetting inspector whether you are recording the fireman round or not. Fireman round taken by the AB and the officer. VHF communication log. So normally nowadays what they have done is most of the companies have included VHF, radar performance log, everything in the deck logbook itself. If you have a separate logbook, then you must check in your separate logbook. Otherwise, if you have in same log, if you have same everything included in your deck logbook, make sure that your VHF communication is being recorded for each port arrival and departure. Your radar performance standard, if it is there present in your deck logbook itself, then this also must be checked. So for example, as you can see over here, our radar performance standard is being recorded in the logbook itself. Hence, every watch we are recording this. So make sure this has been recorded. Fireman safety rounds, fire safety and security rounds are being recorded over here. So we are writing that also. So HDOP values or your value of DOP shall be recorded in your logbook in each watch. This thing must be recorded. It has been checked by vetting inspectors. Then next thing is position of hand steering. In each watch you must mention that you have tried out your autopilot. For example, you can see vessel on autopilot, hand steering tried out from this time to this time in position this must be recorded for each watch. This has been checked. Also, when you do alteration of course, when you are altering a course, that also must be recorded in your logbook. So for example, as you can see over here, course 86086086 this course was altered. Either you can write down the course over here itself that you have altered course and you can write down the position, or if you have written in your hourly log, that is also acceptable. As you can see, 1025 altered course at this particular position. This must be written, time and position when you tried out hand steering, time and position when you have altered your course. Same thing over here. Randomly, the vetting inspectors normally look for this, whether you have written the course alteration or not. So make sure you are writing that. Same thing goes for your VHF communication. There have been many remarks that people haven't written their VHF communication with the port when they were arriving to the port. So this is a normal observation that anybody can ask you when you were arriving to port, didn't you make any reports to the port while arrival and departure, or requesting to pilots or transmitting your ETA to the coast station. Make sure everybody has signed after their watch, because it happens most sometime that somebody has skipped the sign. Make sure master and chief of the signs are present in your deck logbook. So only these things are being looked after in your deck logbook, not more than that. And normally that they would look for normally if an old inspector is there, they would look for your crew list. Crew list shall be present in your deck logbook, copy of crew list. Then next comes your maneuvering log or bell book, as we call it. So for that also I have written the entries. These entries must be present in your bell book. These are minimum entries.
So you can pause the video and you can read all the entries.
Then in your GMDSS logbook, make sure the first page is filled with the person who is in charge of GMDSS, who is in charge of GMDSS emergency communication. Then your monthly test, whenever you are doing your monthly test of EPIRB, SART and VHF, that also what is the last week, at least a second officer or the person who is in charge of GMDSS must know when was the last week when you have done your monthly test or weekly test, or when did you receive your coast station, when did you receive acknowledgement on your MFHF. At least that last acknowledgement shall be properly marked so that it is easy for you to identify that you receive the acknowledgement from the coast station. So as you can see over here, this was the last or most recent one which we have got the acknowledgement from coast station. So we have marked it down. At least in your 1 month there shall be one record of safety message received, urgency message received, distress message received. most probably if distress message is not received, it's still acceptable, but urgency safety message shall be recorded at least once in a month, not every watch, but at least once in a month. If you're showing that you are receiving urgency course safety messages, then it is still acceptable. There have been some masters who would like you to record for every watch that no alerts received or something like this, that shall be recorded in every watch. There is no such requirement. You don't need to record anything for every watch, but at least in 1 month you make sure that you are writing your distress and safety message and urgency message. So next is our compass error log. So in your compass error, there are 2-3 things which you must look after. First is that your deviation, whatever is your deviation as per that heading, that deviation must match with your deviation card. On what heading, what was the deviation? As it was recorded in the card, the same deviation must match over here. You don't have to forcefully try to adjust it, but it should be near to that. It is not possible that in your card it is showing 0.5 degree east and here you are showing 0.1 degree west. Then if it is so, then you might need to recalibrate or readjust your magnetic compass. Second is, if your deviation exceeds more than 5 degree, then you must inform this to master and then to company, and they might send a technician to adjust your magnetic compass. Thirdly, if it is required, if it is possible, try to get the observations from leading light. If you are maintaining your gyro error or magnetic compass error from your leading light, it gives a good impression to the any incoming inspector or any CDI inspector that that these people are religiously taking the errors. So that must be there.
Now with respect to the shape signals present on bridge, make sure that you have one cylinder shape, then 3 balls and 1 diamond shape. These must be marked and kept on bridge, and their inventory shall be taken and they shall be properly checked once, at least once you join on board. Check how is their condition. That's it.
Regarding the publication, there is one more thing. If you are having digital publication, for example ENP publications, if those are digital, make sure whichever volume or whichever publication ENP which is applicable for your voyage, those must be updated, and though there must be a valid permit for them. Same thing goes for your ADP digital publication, LRFs volume 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. Make sure all of them are up to date to the present week. So every week make sure all of these are updated. If you have these digital publication, if you have a paper publication also, make sure those are updated, because randomly the inspector can ask you to show any one publication and he can confirm from here whether that is updated to the present week or not. Thing in your radar, make sure your transmission time, if you will press this TX also, then also you can see this is a shortcut to watch the transmission time. Make sure this transmission time is not exceeded, which is required as per the maker. For example, this requires 7,000 hours, and same goes for the other radar also. If I'll press this standby button, it will that's a shortcut to see the transmission time. This we have just renewed the magnetron and the transmission time is only 161 hours. So you check for these hours. Also your site register, make sure you have at least one site in your last month or in your last voyage, whichever is earlier. Make sure you record at least one site. If it is possible, then make sure all the duty officer has one site, or at least make sure there is one site for the previous month or for the previous voyage. Next in book, make sure your NP133C, if you are having ECDIS on board, then make sure your NP133C is fully updated and it's signed by master and by second officer. For this I have made a separate video. You can check out how to fill this log. There is a separate video for this, but make sure this is updated. So all your Navtex warnings, nav area warning, weather forecast or any piracy message, make sure that all of them are signed by all the duty officers and also by master. All bridge duty officers and master must sign all of these.
Now lastly we'll see outside bridge. So this is my battery room. Make sure you also have a check in your battery room. So outside battery room, make sure you have a sticker like this, ventilate prior entry. and also danger battery acid inside. So this also must be present. Also make sure you have these items present: safety shield, chemical goggles, chemical gloves, apron, eye wash. These must be present in your battery room, as we are the in charge, so make sure we have to check that. Also check the expiry of your emergency eye wash. Ensure that it is not expired, the bottle is not opened. Ensure all these things. Now there is one more requirement, that this battery room vent, it shall be always open. We don't need to close this vent. Other vents we can close, but not this vent. Also ensure that prior going to Monkey Island, this marking must be there, that inform duty officer prior going to Monkey Island. This marking must be present near to the staircase. So once you come on the Monkey Island, make sure all these markings must be present. Whichever vent it is, it shall be marked. Whichever antenna it is, it shall be marked below it. And also those markings which are present on antenna, these markings also you must check. And the condition or damage or rust, the cables, radiation hazard, this marking must be present near your VSAT. Also there is a radiation hazard marking which is on the MFHF antenna. Then VDR capsule, that shall be marked, and if it has an expiry, that shall be marked. So this you can see over here, this is also radiation hazard which is on the MFHF antenna, which is marked. So you have to check the condition as well. Once you come over here, check the markings and check their condition of the antenna. So that's it with this video. Thank you.